I'll just walk a little more and then take off the armor. And it's called a what, 75?
Before we begin our event tonight, I want to take a minute to acknowledge whose land we are on as we broadcast. This land belongs to the Iowa, Suk, and Meskwaki and Oseti Sakowin or Sioux people, and was stolen from them through the process of colonization that is ongoing. We also acknowledge that the capitalist systems, wealth, and infrastructure that surround us in this state and nationwide exist because of the exploited labor of African people enslaved and brought to the United States. Further, this state and nation have been founded on the exploited labor of immigrants coming from Central and South America, Asia, and the African continent. There is no pathway to dismantling the racist institutions that still exist in our society without truly recognizing these realities. Please pause for a moment of silence for those who have lost their lives to the centuries of genocide, slavery, and exploitation in the United States. Thank you. And happy Lunar New Year to all who celebrate. Thank you all so much for joining us for Indira's campaign kickoff tonight. My name is Giovanni Bahena, and I will be your host for our event this evening. We are thrilled to have you tuning in from across different platforms. Please take a minute to share the link with your friends on Facebook, Twitter, and other social medias so others have a chance to hear Indira's vision for the city of Des Moines. We want this to be as interactive a campaign launch as possible. So please drop comments and react with emojis in the chat area whenever you're viewing this broadcast. Indira announced her candidacy this past Tuesday from Ward 1 City Council seat in Des Moines. During her time as an organizer in the Des Moines area, Indira has seen how difficult it can be to get city councilors to respond to the issues brought to them by their constituents. She's seen when the city council isn't tuned into what the people want, the desire for changes like defunding a broken policing system or reversing the creation of a new stadium that would harm public schools. These changes aren't being taken seriously. That's why Indira has decided it's time for her to organize stronger community network through a campaign to ensure that the lives and well-being of those in Ward 1 don't continue to be taken for granted. Over the next hour or so, you'll have a chance to hear from Indira herself, as well as a number of powerful leaders and speakers who are supporting this campaign. And for those of you who imbibe, tonight, the cocktail of choice for our campaign is a French 75, so have one or two for me. Our first guest this evening is a talented spoken word poet and community activist. She is irreverent, ethereal, and inspiration to all. Jalesha Johnson is the head of the Des Moines Black Liberation Movement's culture department and uses her art to amplify her advocacy for marginalized people. She is going to share with us a vision of a better Des Moines. Without further ado, Jalesha.
Hey everyone. So this is not a disclaimer, but just a little explanation. When I was picking what poem I wanted to do tonight, I was thinking about the ways that Indira makes me feel and also all the people of Des Moines. And one of the things that she continues to invoke in me is fearlessness. So this is a poem about how powerful a Black person can be when they have no fear. So Matthews 10:28 states, "Do not be afraid of those who can kill the body, but cannot kill the soul. So let them come with their fingers curled like pearls and their noose necklaces. You think this skin hasn't seen you before, huh? I know the look of a man dressed to the nines, strapped with an AK-47. I know how bullets burn, but I am not afraid of your fire. My God was set aflame once. Call me a burning bush. Call me a girl with roots. I know where I come from. Although American amnesia tries to make me forget, I be a child of the devil's diaspora. You see, when your people in your homeland divorce, the children always end up shattered. History like glass, call me a stained window. This body is a church house. My skin is sacred, not a sin. My skin is sacred, not a sin. See how I reflect all of the light, and I know that some white men are afraid of color, so they cloak their head in white hood or point themselves head of White House, try to make me lose my sense of feeling at home in my own skin. So every day, y'all, every day I wake up and don't die is a revolution. To be black and to breathe is a protest. So every day I march for my damn self. Every day I wake up grateful. I wake up grateful. I wake up grateful to be alive, because too many people who look like us have died. Far too many people who look like me have died, but I still refuse to live in fear. So let them come with their bullets and batons, with their badge and bad aim. And if I die, tell everyone that I was joyously black despite everything, because I know that even if they kill this body, they will not kill my soul. Thank you.
Thank you. Good thing I was muted. Otherwise, you would have seen my makeup run. And we can't have that this evening now, can we? Phenomenal words from a phenomenal person. Thank you so much for sharing, Jalesha. An inspiration, truly. The next speaker joining us this evening is a bright spot, a breath of fresh air in an otherwise unpromising Iowa legislature. Representative Ras Smith is one of the strongest advocates for racial justice and workers' rights in the state capitol. His efforts were key to the signing of an executive order that restored voting rights to Iowans who've served felony sentences, and he was instrumental in the passing of an important criminal justice reform bill last summer, the More Perfect Union Act. Outside of session, Representative Smith is the Iowa consultant for the nonprofit communities and schools, raising awareness about dropout prevention services. Ras is going to introduce you all to Indira and share a bit about why he has put his support behind her campaign for the Ward 1 City Council seat. Representative Smith.
Yeah, thank you so much for the introduction. I'm excited to be here, y'all. I'm pumped. This is the work that people need to see. And I'm so excited for Indira. And I'll give you a little bit of background intro before I jump into it, because sometimes I can get ahead of myself with my excitement about what's taking place right now in our state. As a Ward 1 native, Indira is about that action and has been engaged in community building as a Des Moines resident. I believe that a strong state is made up of strong communities and neighborhoods. And that's why I'm so excited about Indira's candidacy. It's her understanding of the importance of the collective, the power of the people. Over the summer, I had the privilege of watching her, whether it was standing with a megaphone and inspiring change makers to continue to push for voting rights and restoration for felon voters, or it was days on end at the Capitol, along with members of the Des Moines Black Liberation Movement and legislators demanding police reform. Indira has courage, she has passion, and she has knowledge of the systems to make real change, and not only achieve her goals of neighborhood councils, but the ability to make Ward 1 in the city of Des Moines a better place. She's what leadership for the future looks like. She's what leadership of the future should be. And you know, the future started yesterday, so it's time to go. I'm grateful for the opportunity to support and introduce you all to Indira Sheumaker, candidate for Des Moines City Council, Ward 1.
Hello, everybody. Thank you all so much for being here. I'm really excited. That was a beautiful, beautiful poem, Jalesha, and thank you so much for that introduction, Representative Ras Smith. I'm very, very excited to be here. So I'm gonna start off with an introduction. Hello, my name is Indira Sheumaker, and I'm running for Des Moines City Council in Ward 1. Ward 1 encompasses the entire northwest corner of Des Moines, and it's everything from Beaverdale and Merle Hay to Riverbend, Mondawmin, and King neighborhoods, and even covers half of Drake. This place is home. It's where I grew up, and I'm so, so excited to run to represent you all and everyone who lives in Ward 1. I decided to run for City Council when I started attending and organizing around City Council meetings during the protests in the summer of 2020. Quickly, very, very quickly, I realized that the council is not interested in governing based on the needs of the people, nor on their demands. They are much, much more invested in corporate interests and selling large swaths of Des Moines to wealthy developers. This has led to them disinvesting in the people of Des Moines and leaving us behind to struggle. I saw the necessity that someone needs to step up and build power for people in Des Moines. So like I said, I grew up in Des Moines, Merle Hay neighborhood. I'm a DMPS alum, and I graduated from Hoover High School, class of 2012. When I was younger, I walked to school every day, either to Hoover or Meredith, and I walked by Donut Land, which has now been renamed to Donut Hut, and the gas station that come and go on the corner that they've now turned into a Java Joe's. In the summer, I went to Snooki's. I attended Fall Fest every year. Most of the time, I was in the parade marching with either the Meredith or the Hoover band. Growing up, I didn't have much money. When my parents got divorced when I was 13 years old, we went from a 2-income household to 1, and we felt the impacts immediately. I was still very young, but I could tell that everything was just harder. And every big expense, which kept coming up, took a huge chunk out of our financial security. When I could get a job, I worked at the Franklin Avenue Library. I held jobs in retail, did a lot of customer service, and I even worked for the Parks and Recreation Department in the city at the community centers and renting boats out on Gray's Lake. I never made much, even though I worked a lot, and I never felt stable, and I was always, always worrying about money. As I'm older now, I see even more how my family and my neighborhood is struggling. As our house ages, we need more and more repairs that we just can't afford, and everyday living is a struggle. Beyond just my personal situation, I've seen how my neighborhood, which was once a flourishing community where we used to go out and play with the kids on our street, we could just go down the street and knock on the door, rode my bike up and down the street, has become so much more distant and isolated as people are struggling to get by. I've seen how the infrastructure in my neighborhood has deteriorated, and it's a material example of the city not investing in people to meet their needs. And I know that I'm not the only one who struggles with these things. So many of us are struggling to get our basic needs met. And so many of these problems are exacerbated by the pandemic that we're still going through now. We're fearing for our health and safety. So many of us are unemployed or underpaid, and relief is running out or just not coming fast enough. More and more of our friends and neighbors are experiencing houselessness and food insecurity. And so many of us don't have access to reliable, necessary infrastructure that we need as school and work all moves online. And through all this, we're dealing with an apathetic city council that pumps the majority of our budget into the police, ignoring the demands of Black activists and organizers in Des Moines, and the rest of our money goes to subsidizing developers who build huge apartment buildings across the city that sit empty as our friends and neighbors are literally freezing to death on the street. We have a problem in city council. We're dealing with a lack of investment in the people of Des Moines, a council that does not reflect the people that they represent. They are much older, whiter, and wealthier. They are not struggling like so many of us are in Des Moines, and they don't feel the need to take bold and necessary action when we're dealing with crisis or tragedy. And as a result, so many of us are abandoned by our local government. Des Moines as a whole, and Ward 1 in particular, deserves better than this. We need a city council that invests into people and their needs, that responds swiftly to tragedy and crisis, that uses our tax dollars to take care of people instead of criminalizing them, and that holds itself and its departments accountable for the harm they cause. We need a city council that listens to the needs of the people instead of developers and big business. And we need a government that lets the people be the decision makers on the issues that affect them. I'm running for city council because I know that I can make this happen. I have demonstrated a commitment to the people of Des Moines through organizing and advocating for safety and justice in my community. I know that I can do the job because I invest more time and energy into organizing around city council meetings, poring over agendas, and bringing necessary information to the public than anyone who's currently elected on city council. I understand Ward 1 and I understand the people here. I care about those who are struggling, and I'm invested in the needs of those who have been ignored. And finally, I am relentless in my fight for a better world in Des Moines. So with all that, I have an ask for you. Obviously, I'm asking for you to vote for me on November 2nd, but I want to acknowledge that a vote is just one tactic and one tool that we have at our disposal. And this movement should not end at a single vote. What I'm really asking for is a long-term commitment. So I'm asking for you to make an investment in this campaign and a commitment to your community. If you can donate money, that's fantastic. But even better if you can sign up to volunteer. Even better if you can sign up your friends and family to volunteer. But I really want you to commit to organizing your neighbors, your friends, and your family to help us build power for the people in Des Moines to hold our future city government accountable. With that, I just want to say all power to the people, and thank you all for being here.
All power to the people. Thank you, Indira, for those inspiring words. Day in, day out, I am inspired by who you are as a human being, and I am honored to be able to work with your campaign, and I am ecstatic to be able to call you a friend. Many of you can as well, and so drop into the chat just how you feel about the amazing words that Indira has said to us, the amazing words that Indira constantly says to us. There's not a moment that Indira doesn't say something amazing. Not a moment. So let's share all of these words so that everybody can know just how inspirational Indira is. We're lucky to have an outstanding activist like her stepping up to carry the demands of the residents of Ward 1 and the entire Des Moines metro area to the city council chambers. And if you weren't already aware, racial justice advocacy and civic engagement run in the family. Next to the mic is Indira's sister Paden, who is also a member of the Des Moines Black Liberation Advocacy and is the fundraising director of Indira's campaign. Paden is going to share a bit about the pressing fundraising objectives as we as a campaign and the ways that you all can pitch in to help us realize those goals. Paden.
Hello, thank you for that wonderful introduction, Gio. I have just been reading this chat, and all of you are so inspired by Indira, as am I. I'm inspired by Indira every single day, and luckily I get to call her my sister, so I can be inspired probably more than you guys can. I see her every day fighting to make our community better. And I've been seeing that throughout the summer, me and her, since we started to get more involved, I've seen her really be committed to the people of Des Moines, and I've been pushing her to run for city council and supporting her in that dream. It's something that I know that she can do, and I know will make our community a better place. I'm always telling her that she is the right person for this. She is the one who can get involved and change the way that things are done in this city. So that's why I support her for city council. And it's why I'm her fundraising director, because I believe in her and I believe in this cause and everything that we are fighting for. So this is just the beginning, guys. We just launched this campaign on Tuesday, and so far it has been an outpouring of support from our community, and we are so grateful to you guys. I've been so humbled by the response from our community to this campaign. We have raised, since Tuesday, we have raised just over $6,000 just from all of you, and that's from 170 donors. I'm sure some of them are on this call right now, but I am so happy that we can call all of you guys donors and supporters of our campaign. You know, it's such an amazing start, such a strong start, and we really want to keep this momentum going all the way until November. You know, we have about 10 months until we get there, and we want to make sure that along the way we have all of the resources that we need to win. So that's why I'm asking each and every one of you who believe in this campaign just as much as I do to become a monthly contributor to our campaign and be the driving force behind this movement. Monthly donors are what's going to help us keep this campaign going all the way to election day, all the way to November. So our fundraising goal for tonight, for this event, is to get 30 new recurring monthly donors. So I know there are a lot of people on this call right now. If any one of you want to be a recurring donor, just go to this link, the Secure Act Blue. If you can donate a monthly gift of $5, $10, or $25 a month, it's going to help our campaign so much. It's going to help us get to that finish line and keep the momentum that we have right now going all the way until then. If you're not financially able to make that monthly donation, we get it. We understand. So many of us have been hit by so many things this past year. So many people are underemployed. It's something obviously that Indira is trying to fight to change. So we understand if it's not something that you can do. Any amount that you can donate is going to help us. Anything is going to help. Not only monetary donations are going to help, but anything that you can donate. We're going to need PPE. We want to do a lot of canvassing. We want to make sure that we can get to every single person in Ward 1. And to do that, we want to be safe. So we're going to need, if you can donate PPE, if you can donate anything that we would need for canvassing, if you have any connections that could be beneficial to helping this campaign grow, donations of your time, obviously, to just anything that you can do to show your support for Indira for Ward 1. So thank you all so much for the gifts that you've already given. Thank you so much for the gifts that I hope you're going to give tonight. Again, we are really pushing for new recurring monthly donors tonight. So if you're able, please consider making a gift of $5, $10, or $25 a month. Just follow the Act Blue link and get that donation going. I know I might be a little biased because she's my sister, but I'm definitely going to start my monthly donation tonight. So I hope you all can join me. Thank you so much, and thank you all for your support and being out here tonight.
Thank you, Paden. And as everybody heard, in case you didn't catch the link before, you will be able to donate at the link that's at the bottom of our screen here. And again, we really appreciate any and all contributions that you're able to make. Like Paden said, if you're unable to during these times, we understand. But if you can, we would love any help that you can give us. As Indira touched upon earlier, it's important to our campaign to hear as many voices in Ward 1 as we can, because we recognize how many stories aren't being heard or being dismissed by elected officials throughout the city. Our next guest, Joe Henry, is more than familiar with the type of collective action that is required to make substantial strides on issues like labor organizing and voter rights. Joe's career as an activist spans 40 years. He's worked with organizations including the Catholic Workers, Iowa Citizen Energy Coalition, Teamsters Union, LULAC, and the Rainbow Coalition. He will share how you can all get plugged in with the campaign's voter outreach work and why it will take everyone on this call to be sure Indira is elected as the next Ward 1 City Councilor. Joe?
Thank you, Giovanni. Thank you all for being here tonight. Our neighbors in Ward 1 need to see us to see you at their doors and hear you on the phones. We need volunteers. In Ward 1, with its 20 precincts that covers the northwest area of Des Moines, there are 31,500 registered voters. which means voter registration data indicates a high concentration of young voters, 47% under the age of 40, majority female voters, 53%, highly Democratic Party voters, 55%, and non-party voters, 26%. This is a tremendous opportunity to mobilize as many volunteers as possible to ensure that we are connecting with the many different voices in the neighborhoods. 20% of new voters registered last year and voted. Ward 1 is also one of the more racially and socioeconomically diverse areas of the city. For that reason, we will be going out of our way to connect with disenfranchised folks and those who have felt politically powerless. It is also home to civil rights leader Edna Griffin, who successfully fought in 1948 the segregationist policies of Katz Drug Store, downtown Des Moines, and its chain. Other notable people from Ward 1 are Evelyn Davis, who is a Black civil rights activist, director of Tiny Tots, Akeo Abdul Samad, current state legislator and former Black Panther, and Willie Glanton, a former Black attorney and state representative. Our first campaign volunteer event will be a story sharing community gathering to connect neighbors in Ward 1 in the Des Moines area around shared issues. It will be held on Saturday, February 20th at 2 p.m. And please RSVP. You will see the link right there. And then opportunities to canvass neighborhoods and phone bank will start at the beginning of March. So stay tuned to our social media post. And of course, we will take serious COVID-19 precautions when canvassing, using PPE, and keeping our distance from folks when we talk. But again, it's important to know we must connect. We must get in the neighborhoods. We need volunteers. We can win this one. This is our battle to win. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. This is our battle to win, and we can win it. As Joe touched upon, we'll be holding our first volunteer event on Saturday, February 20th at 2 p.m. A virtual event. This Story Share community gathering will be an opportunity to connect with neighbors of yours within the Des Moines area around issues you've identified within your neighborhood. It will also be a space for us to hear the issues you all want us to incorporate into the campaign and tell you all a bit more about the platforms as it stands. The RSVP link for the event is on the screen and below in the comments. Hope to see your faces there a week from tomorrow. As we begin to close down, there are a lot of thanks that I need to make. First, I need to thank Jamie Malone for the amazing art that they've created. You can see more of their art by following them on Instagram, Art by J Malone, lowercase ARTBYJMALONE, an amazing artist who put together all the campaign logos. Please take a look at their stuff. Support them in any way you can. On behalf of the entire campaign team, I want to thank each of you for tuning in tonight. This is the beginning of an exciting movement. And there are multiple other activities going on in your community. Stay tuned in. We can't wait to work with you all to make Indira our next city councilor out of Ward 1 and to construct new systems of community solidarity and power that will make Des Moines stronger. Don't forget to follow Indira's campaign at Indira4DSM, at INDIRA4DSM on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Thank you. May your weekends be fun. And if anybody needs anything for this weekend, I'm single. Thank you, and have a great rest of your nights.